It's a fun themed resort. It represents different eras or decades, I guess I should say. They might not have an appreciation for the 70s, 60s, and 50s, but they get a kick out of the 80s and 90s. And, according to them, that's ancient. And that's, my.
Welcome to the Travel Genie Show. Today I am joined by four amazing individuals: Allie, a DVC member; Sherida, an annual pass holder; and Corey, Brandy, and I are all former cast members. Together, we are travel advisors who plan dream vacations for all of our clients. Are you ready for some Disney tips and tricks? Grab a pineapple whip and let's have some fun. Today we are talking about choosing that perfect Disney resort. So one of the things that I thought we'd maybe kick this off with is talking about the one thing that you would consider when picking out a resort. So if you are just looking at the resorts, there's a lot of them at Disney World. What's the one thing that you would take into consideration? Let's round robin this. Brandy, do you want to kick it off?
Oh, sure. So my first initial reaction is proximity to the parks. A lot of people don't really consider that to be super important, but everyone thinks that all of the resorts are just like 5 minutes from Magic Kingdom, and that's not how it works. So the value resorts are typically the farthest away from any particular park. The moderate resorts are typically going to be a little bit closer, and they might have alternative paths to get there. So they might have Skyliner access, with the exception of Art of Animation, which is technically a value resort but has Skyliner access. And then the deluxe resorts are typically going to be very close and potentially even walkable to a park. Now, because of the location of each of the parks, you're not going to be able to just magically walk to every single one of the four parks. But just considering for a minute, how close do you really want to be and how long do you want it to take for you to get to a park first thing in the morning, when your kids are tired and they're already over it and they just got sugared up for breakfast or whatever. What's going to matter for you in that moment? Do you want to ride a 20-minute bus, or do you want to just take the monorail around and walk right into Magic Kingdom? So that's mine.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, Brandy. Especially, I have a little one, and so naps. And so when you're breaking up that day with a nap in the middle, it can definitely eat into your playtime if you're having to spend, a long time on a bus ride out to one of the further resorts. For
So
those that are listening that maybe aren't familiar, value, moderate, and deluxe are the three different classifications of resorts on property, and they all come with their different amenities, different price points, and so that's just something to keep in mind. Allie, what is the one thing that you would consider, or the most important consideration you have when picking out a resort?
I think my number one consideration would be, what do I want out of my resort? Like, what does my resort mean to me? Um, if it's just a place to lay my head and I really don't care much about the amenities of the theming, anything like that, then I probably going to choose one of the value. Well, I won't say about the theming. The values have a, okay, this is a good way to think about this. I guess you can't say that every topic for every hotel is going to give you the same thing on the same in the same way. Like a value resort, if theming means a lot to you, Disney theming, then you might want to choose a value resort because they have over the top Disney theming. If you don't care so much about that, then you might enjoy one of the deluxe resorts where the theming is much less obvious, I'll say. But I think maybe how you view resorts, maybe not even Disney resorts, just how you view a resort. If you're going to spend a lot of time at your resort and you care about the amenities, like again, the deluxe resorts all usually have multiple dining options where there's very nice themed sit down restaurants where you can get waited on. They have elevated food. If you really care about dining at your resort, you're probably going to want to choose a resort that offers that. Again, if you don't, you just want to grab chicken fingers on the way out the door, then you might want to choose one of the values. So I think it's like, what do you expect? What's your expectation from your stay at your resort?
Yeah, I think that's an important point, Allie, because different people view a resort for different purposes. And so, I want to dig into this a little bit later, but like if you're going to spend the whole day at the resort or you're going to be there every day for dinner, then it's definitely going to be a different thought process.
Yeah.
Corey, what are you recommending for your clients? What's the main thing that they should consider?
So it kind of goes along the lines of Allie's as well, is what is your plan? Do you need a bed to sleep in? Do you need more of an experience? Are you like whenever we go, because we're former cast members, we don't necessarily need the big tada at the hotel because like we're fine at most resorts, but we also want a little bit more than just a bed to sleep in. We enjoy the theming of the resorts, we enjoy the pool, we enjoy the dining. Um, I really love staying at like Port Orleans because you can take the boat over to Disney Springs. We love walking around Disney Springs, and it is what are you trying to get out of the resort? Kind of like everybody's really going to be getting to is what is a resort for you? What is it there for you? If it's for a day at the pool, I always go Yacht and Beach. It's my favorite pool on property is going to be Yacht and Beach. But if you're going for a bed to sleep in, let's go to Value. If you're going for the big thing with the view of the castle, obviously we're going to go to our deluxe resorts over on that face the park. So it's all depending on what you're trying to get out of your resort, which we've already said. I go for, are you looking for a day at the resort? And if they are, I might push them towards, are we looking at a pool day? I've got the perfect recommendation. Are we looking for a shopping day? I've got a good recommendation. Are we looking to just sleep in and wake up at 3 p.m, go have dinner and like catch a movie out on the lawn with everybody else? I got a recommendation for that one as well. So it is, what are you trying to get out of that? Especially when they have, a lot of people do the 7 days. You have the first day of travel, the last day of travel, and the 5 days in between. We have 4 parks. I usually recommend 4 park days. Somewhere in there, you need a break. Take a day for the resort. So on that day for the resort, what are we planning to do?
Yeah, I mean, again, great points. I know guests that literally just go to Disney just for the resort. Like they don't even bother going to the parks. And so that's a completely different experience that a value really wouldn't probably meet their needs. Sherida, what about you? What are you recommending?
We like, we look at resorts with different modes of transportation. Our favorite transportation right now is the Skyliner. The Skyliner is an attraction all in itself right now for my
Yeah.
kids. But no, same thing. Like the rest of you have kind of said, depending what we want out of our resort, we like the different options. Whether it's walking over to Epcot after just to go see the fireworks, or like I said, my kids love to ride the Skyliner for as long as possible. Being a Florida resident and local, I, can go whenever I want, but it's really nice just to be able to park my car for the night or 2 nights and, not have to worry about transportation. So yes, we definitely look at transportation when we are picking our resort to stay at.
Transportation, such a huge role in your vacation. It really is. I know for me, there's really kind of two things that I kind of look at is the amenities, which you've already kind of talked about a little bit, and then the theming. And so every resort at Disney, as you all know, has a different theme. And so someone that is maybe a sports diehard, they're not going to fit in at Grand Floridian. It's just not going to be their vibe. And someone that is, wants that Grand Floridian-esque experience, which I don't know the best way to describe it. It's just extreme elegance, I think.
Yeah.
And so, someone that's going to want that experience is not going to fit in well at potentially a Coronado Springs, a Coronado rather, or any of the All Star and Art of Animation. Like it's just not the same experience. And so, I do think the theme plays a big role. And so a lot of times the theme does go along with the amenities, especially when you look at value versus moderate versus deluxe. But to me, theme plays such a huge role, and finding that right fit for you. And so yeah, for me, theme's such a big role.
For sure.
One of the things. Oh, Brandy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna throw in like just to add on to the kind of the amenity list for a moment, because we mentioned pools and some other things, but
Yeah.
another consideration is going to be, do you intend to go to a spa? Do you intend to work out? Not all the resorts have fitness centers. So that's another two things to really consider is like if you're a big fitness person, we need to make sure that you're staying at a resort that has that amenity. So that there's some other things to really consider.
I think running trails are big too. Like I'm a big runner, and so Port Orleans is awesome for that. If you wake up bright and early at 6 a.m. at Port Orleans Riverside, there's going to be a ton of people running around there because it's just perfect for that. Whereas Grand Floridian, I wouldn't even know where to run. Um,
Yeah. You can get lost at Port Orleans too. We got lost last time we went.
when you talk about amenities too, while you were talking, and one of the things I thought about was food. So I recently stayed at Yacht Club, and quick service is basically non-existent there. It's just not what their thing is. And so, when you're looking for a grab and go meal, it just was very difficult and not what we were looking for as far as that goes. But Yacht Club especially has some of the best sit down dining around. Ale and Compass is incredible. Yachtsman, I like to go to annually. And so, again, dining is a big role. Like Port Orleans, you can have pizza delivered right to your room and, at any time, pretty much any hour of the day. And so, dining is another one that is, when you come to amenities, something to keep in mind.
For sure. I would love to just shout out because I do know of one place over there. Hurricane Hannah's has some spectacular buffalo sauce that they can put on top of the allergy chicken tenders. I'm just saying, like I dream of those chicken tenders with the buffalo sauce. So I just have to throw that out there. There is options. It's just hard to find.
I have not had those. Now I want to go and try them because I love anything buffalo.
Yes.
I mean, especially if you're at Yacht and Beach, they have cocktail servers too. So you can hang out by the pool while the server comes to you and takes your order.
Yes.
There's a wonderful amenity right there.
I worked there for a day.
So one of the things that I want to dive into is I know that we could take the boring approach and talk about each resort in depth and what it offers, but I thought that it would be a little bit more fun if we kind of said, okay, here's the group that's traveling. What is a good resort for them? And so I want to kind of start out with let's focus on couples. We're talking, so Disney is so obviously known for kid friendly and having kids and it's geared towards kids. But I'll tell you what, some of my favorite Disney vacations were even before I had kids because it really does have a bit of adult elegance and fun to go along with it. So if we're focusing on just couples, whether they're empty nesters or honeymooners, Allie, what would you recommend?
So I'm glad you asked this question because it's been a long time since I was on my honeymoon, but my husband and I celebrated our 20th anniversary at Disney without our children. And we took advantage of a lot of things that we had not previously done that I would consider for couples or at least adults, but mostly for couples. And my number one answer, my number one pick for this is actually not even my personal favorite resort, which is the Riviera, which would be in second place for this answer. But I'm going to go with, it might be obvious choice, but Grand Floridian. It is the flagship resort for Disney, so it's kind of neat to be able to stay there. And I think Joel, it was you that was saying that, the first word you think of is elegance when you think of it. So I'm operating under the assumption that these couples are in love with each other and looking for something kind of on the romantic side out of out of their stay. So for sure, the Grand Floridian falls into that category. It is beautiful, and actually, they remodeled I think all of the rooms. And the last piece that they have to finish is the lobby. And so they rethemed everything. It's very loosely rethemed to the Mary Poppins 2 theme. It's really pretty. All light colors and florals, and like they all the paint is like a bright white, and there's a lot of really cool light fixtures. It's very, in my opinion, it's very romantic, so it's conducive to a couple's trip. Another thing I think somebody mentioned about the pool, that you can get a cabana there, which you can't get at every resort. So that's a nice little private thing, I think, for couples to be able to rent ahead of time and have just for themselves if they wanted to do a pool day. And I know Brandy was talking about a spa. So I believe there's only 2 resorts, Saratoga Springs and Grand Floridian at Disney World, that have spas. And my husband and I actually got a couple's massage at the spa at the Grand, and it was lovely. It was heavenly. We loved it. And the dining there. So the restaurants there, they do have casual restaurants. There's like a, a bar, eatery and a quick service, and there is character dining, but they also have Narcoossee's, which is a seafood restaurant that looks over the water and you can see the fireworks off the back. And they have Citricos, which is another upscale modern fusion restaurant, excellent food. And of course, then Victoria and Albert's, which is like the creme de la creme of dining. If you can get in there and foot the bill there, I can't think of a more perfect place to celebrate with your significant other. So all of those things added together, I think it is an obvious answer, but I mean, it's the best. It's like the best for couples, for honeymoon, anniversary, anything.
So I have thoughts.
Ditto.
That's
Yes.
what I was going to ask. I was going to say, who has an opinion?
All right. So first thing, on the Grand Floridian, I just want to make a note. If you see the pictures online of the Grand Floridian grooms and there's a lot of red, that is the old design.
Yeah.
It's not the new design. Please do not judge it based on those awful red schematic. It's off. Yeah, they're really, really bad. If you see the pictures with lots of blue in them, those are the ones that have been redone. Second thing, if you are afraid of birds in any way, shape, or form, Grand Floridian is now not for you. I did actually hear of this happening to someone. They brought their cousin, and they have a fear of birds, and there's birds on the wallpaper, there are birds on the light fixture now. So that was not a really good fit for them. So just notes there.
And apparently, if you don't love each other, you should also not stay there. Based on
Correct.
Allie's right.
I was
Yes.
like the assumption they're in love, and I was like,
Yes.
okay.
Because I could recommend a different resort if you're not in love with your partner. Then that's a different
Two-bedroom
conversation.
suite if you're not in love with your partner.
Campgrounds.
Different resorts.
The campground, a tent.
But I suppose
Yeah.
that does depend on the couple. If you're really outdoorsy and that's what you love, then that's beautiful.
That is true. That's true.
Well, the new cabins are beautiful, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. But my pick for that one would be, I have automatically thought about the Polynesian. So I stayed at the Polynesian the night that I got engaged. So that was my first thought. Obviously still very themed. It's right next door from the Grand Floridian. But I mean, the pool is beautiful. It's this very tropical Hawaiian vibe. So if you want to feel like you're on a tropical vacation while you're at Disney World, the Poly has totally got it for you. I love just being able to grab a Dole Whip whenever I want. They have Ohanas to eat. They also have Captain Cook's if you're looking for quick service. And obviously you're on the monorail, so you get to see the fireworks. And I love my favorite spot that is not in the parks to watch the fireworks is on the beach at the Polynesian. That is the spot. They pipe in the music. It is just one of the most magical spots to watch fireworks from, just saying.
That's what I was going to say, is that can be very romantic and it's not overly crowded. So it's
And then you can walk right back to your room.
Yes.
Right,
I think it was.
Go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to add on the Victoria and Albert's, because as we have discussed offline, I haven't had the opportunity to go. I can do a whole thing on that too. It is definitely the peak of a meal as far as service, as far as elegance. It was just me and my wife. It was our birthdays are 4 days apart, so we always plan things together. That was our birthday that year. It was worth the money. It was worth the time. It was a 3-hour meal, mind you. And we just had such a nice time, and you were so pampered. I mean, there's your name is on the menu, and they bring you a stool for your purse, and everything is like, can I get this for you? Can I get this for, like, you don't have to get up. They will get it all for you. If there's anything like you don't like it, I'll get you something else. Like everything, it was the peak of elegance. And if you have the chance, I always tell people do it. It is always going to be worth it.
All right, share to wrap it up on this
I have to
recommendation.
chime in. So speaking of feeling like you're in a different destination, Animal Kingdom Lodge. I mean, where else can you sit on a balcony and watch giraffe and zebra go by while you're sipping on your morning coffee? Not to mention the resort also has two phenomenal restaurants. Boma has like one of the best breakfast buffets on property. And then Jico, it's an award-winning restaurant. And for any wine lovers, wine enthusiasts, it actually has one of the biggest or the largest collection of African wine. And I got to eat. I actually got to eat there at the kitchen table not too long ago recently, and it was a pretty cool experience. So
Animal Kingdom Lodge is incredible, and I do love the food there. It's
yes.
very nice. So going on to our next category is going to be many people listening, those with small children. All right, Brandy, what do you recommend for those with small children?
So my first instinct is that typically the small children are going to be really into Disney. You're going to want that Disney experience. And so for me, my gut reaction is to go to Art of Animation, where it's a little bit more recently themed than like All-Star Movies, which is also lovely. But Art of Animation is just so incredibly immersive in the way that they've themed not only the rooms, which are highly themed, but the exteriors where they have all of these big figures. There's one area where you feel like you're walking through the Pride Lands. There's one area where it's Finding Nemo themed, and so there's a giant, pool, and there's a Little Mermaid space and a Cars themed area, and it's all done so well, and it's so adorable. That like even as an adult without kids, I stayed there and I was like, oh, this is like so, like, I enjoyed walking to and from the rooms, the Little Mermaid rooms, which are a little farther out. I enjoyed that walk every morning because I just like enjoyed like being in the atmosphere. But with kids, like that's a super fun place to be. I'll also like shout out because they have a lot of family suites there, which can fit up to, they can sleep up to 6. And so that's a really nice option for families that are a little bit bigger, or where you're bringing the grandparents along or something like that. So that's cool. But then I would say, like, if that's not quite in your budget, I would lean All-Star Movies. We stayed there on our last trip for a night, and my daughter like went up and hugged one of the little 101 Dalmatians figures, and just she thought that was great. So those are my picks.
Art of Animation is really well themed. I have not had a chance to stay in a room there, but I went over there just to walk the grounds because it is so well themed, and it's very cool. It brought the 90s kid out in me for sure.
Route 66.
Yes. love me some Cars.
Yes.
One of the
I think
one of the rooms that I thought of when I was thinking of small children is Port Orleans Riverside and their princess rooms, which I know Sherida just stayed in, and they're really well themed. They're kind of have like an Aladdin, or really I guess Jasmine-esque princessy theme, and there's like the magic carpet on the ground, and
All the princesses are represented in
all the princesses are represented. So there you go. But it's a really, there's like fireworks over the bed that shoot off and on the bed frame, and so it's really well done and very cool for that little princess that's traveling to Disney. I know my daughter would absolutely love it. Sherida, do you want to comment on it at all? Oh, Sherida's mic went out. That's okay. Technical happens.
Is that better?
Yep.
There we go.
There you are.
Sorry. Yeah, so recently I did get to stay, and for that specific reason, because I'd always wanted to stay in one, and we got to. And the theming is pretty cool. Tiana's represented, Cinderella, Jasmine, just the little details, like Joel said, the magic carpet is in the carpet. The faucets are the genie lamp. There's a welcome letter from Tiana imprinted into the table. It's super cute. It's super cute if you have a princess lover.
And those are called the royal rooms, is that right?
Royal rooms, and they are all in all on the plantation side.
Yeah.
Even the standard rooms there have, if you're into Princess and the Frog, the standard rooms still have heavy theming for Princess and the Frog. We stayed there when we were there back in July. I have a TikTok. I did a walkthrough in my room. No, that was sorry, that was French Quarter, but everything was so heavily themed. It's like you were on the bayou, like you're in the swamps, like you're on the bayou. They have like the lanterns. There's frogs absolutely everywhere. If we had this is January of last year as it was, and my wife's niece was with us, so we did a fifth sleeper. So fifth sleeper is where you have the two double beds or queen size, and there's a bed that folds down. It's a little bench, it looks like a bench where your TV stand is. It's actually a twin bed that folds down. We folded it down, and there's Lewis like floating around with his trumpet, and she like pulls it down. She's like, "This is my bed." And we're like, "This is your bed." She was so excited to have her own little bed with her little backdrop. She was very excited. I was like, it's still a fun one, especially if you have maybe older kids, or you have, if it's a multi-gen, you're kind of on that budget. You're like, all right, we're gonna have one room, but like everybody's got to fit. There is some fifth sleeper rooms, as long as they're available. And the theming, while not as heavily themed as the princess rooms, is still really cute.
One tip with the non-royal rooms, the Tiana themed rooms, is if you put the little divider curtain up by the bathroom area, turn off the room light and turn on the bathroom area light, it looks like the bayou is like glowing. Like you'll see it's kind of like a sunset. It's very beautiful and very cool. And we just found it by happenstance, and my daughter lost her mind. So, little tip there. All right. So going on the other side of the spectrum, we have older children, which Sherida can certainly speak to as the mother of many older children. Sherida, what do you recommend?
So I was kind of torn when I was thinking about this and asking for my kids' opinion as well. Um, Pop Century will do it for them every time. And again, it's a fun themed resort. It represents different eras or decades, I guess I should say. They might not have an appreciation for the 70s, 60s, and 50s, but they get a kick out of the 80s and 90s. And, according to them, that's ancient, and that's, my I'm not classic, not yet, but it's super cool. I mean, larger than life icons like Rubik's cubes. One of the favorite ones we like to go find are Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head and get a picture with them all the time. But again, the big draw there is the Skyliner and being able to easily get to Epcot and Studios. The other one that they really like, and it's been mentioned a couple of times already, is the Beach and Yacht Club. And again, for proximity to the parks, because we do tend to spend a lot of time in Epcot and the studios, but you can't beat the pool there for older kids. It's got the lazy river, it's got the sand bottom pool, and of course that amazing water slide. And not just the restaurant options there, but you have like access to the whole boardwalk and the evening entertainment there too, which is great for the kids. So I would do a split stay, I think, between those two.
A split stay, for those wondering, is when you stay at two resorts or several resorts during your stay. I know some people will do like 2 nights at different resorts over the course of 7 nights. So definitely a fun way to resort hop for sure. Anyone else's thoughts on a resort for older children?
So Sherida definitely stole mine. I think I saw Corey's head shaking. I think she stole hers too. Like the beach was like totally my like thought there, because like the pool is like perfect for the older kids. I guess it depends on what the older kids are into. Maybe if they're into animals, then Animal Kingdom Lodge. If they're really into sports, like maybe All Star Sports is the fit. So I would kind of individually dole them out at that point. But something that occurred to me that I was like, oh, like that's a thought. Many of the resorts have an arcade, and that's just like a fun note. So like if you're looking for somewhere to be like, hey, like go play by yourselves for a minute while mom and dad have a minute. If they're older, you might be able to throw them at the arcade with some cash and let them go have some fun. So
Beaches and Cream is also available if you're staying at Yacht and Beach, which is awesome. And Beaches and Cream is kind of like an old 50s style diner with burgers, and the pinnacle of it is really the kitchen sink ice cream, which I don't know exactly. I don't remember. I think it's like 8 scoops of ice cream and then essentially every topping you could imagine, and an entire can of whipped cream and a cherry on top.
A
And
whole
so,
can.
yeah,
Oh, can. I was like, I don't know if I haven't been there since they've redone it. I have
they
actually
still do
two.
that.
Do they? I was like, I have two really good friends that work there now. One is a manager, and every time we would go, because I used to work at the resort. If nobody knows by now, I worked all over the place. I used to work at the resort, and we would go there for lunch sometimes after we were done working. And yeah, you hear the kitchen sink comes out, and there's the alarm goes off, and there's lights everywhere.
They
The
dim the
Wow.
whole
lights. There's a
can,
giant alarm that goes off.
yeah.
I would say one of our favorite things to do when we're there for like a night or the weekend, is we always get the 10:55 at night spot, and we always go have ice cream to finish off the night. It's really good.
It's something good. It's a good way to end the night. And then even thinking like the kitchen sink, it's a lot, but it's actually very affordable if you look at the price, especially when you have like anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 people eating it. Like it's very affordable for a dessert. So kind of like shared, if you want to go at the end of the night to like cap off your night at the resort, you've been doing the pool all day, maybe you went to Cape May for dinner or lunch, or you went to, whatever. I was like, it's definitely a good way to a fun way to end the night with a kitchen sink with the whole shebang.
Whole can.
Yeah.
yeah, that thing comes with like brownies on top and cookies on
Yeah.
top. It's massive. But I will just kind of throw in there, if you have older kids who you're thinking want to get the kitchen sink, but you have younger kids as well who might be sensitive to the noise, the siren is very loud and people do cheer very loudly for that.
Mm.
It is an atmosphere. It's very fun. But if you have younger kids, it maybe consider sitting outside the restaurant. They have some patio chairs. They also have a window there where you can just go up and order. You don't have to have a reservation. So just throwing that out there, if you have little ones that might be sensitive to the sound, maybe think around that a little bit.
And you can actually get a little kitchen sink too, which is cool. And it's shaped like Mickey's.
They use shorts.
Yeah, Mickey's shorts. It's really cute. And
Minnie.
I don't actually know what that comes. I think that might just be like 2, maybe 3 scoops of ice cream, but it's
I
really
think so.
adorable, and you get to keep the actual bowl that it's served in, which again is like Mickey's shorts. It's wicked cute if you don't want to do the full shebang kitchen sink. Any other thoughts on older children?
I just wanted to add, as the children get older, the parents get older also, which
Sometimes.
Never.
sometimes can
Never.
mean that mom and dad can't hang at the parks as late as the teenagers. So I think I mentioned Riviera earlier. That is our home resort with our DVC membership, our Disney Vacation Club membership, and it's on the Skyliner. And so it's one thing to, when your kids are little and you're glued to your kids and they're part of your whole day every minute. When your kids are older, they become much more independent. They don't maybe want to be with mom and dad all day. So often, like my husband and I might take the Skyliner back, and the kids can go from the Riviera to three other three other resorts: Pop Century, Art of Animation, and Caribbean Beach to visit, and they can get themselves to and from Epcot and Hollywood Studios. So it's a lot of options just from one resort for older kids who are, trustworthy and independent, to be able to go back and forth between the Riviera and several other places during the day, and even at night while some other people might be sleeping. So just something to throw out there.
My daughter already doesn't want to spend the whole day with me at 4. All
It's
right.
too early.
Yeah. So next up is that wonderful multi-generational trip. I know it's been mentioned a little bit, but grandparents are coming. You're bringing your kids. We're going to have 3 generations. It's going to be an awesome dream vacation. Where are you putting them, Corey? Where do you recommend?
So it's working at Disney, that means everybody comes and sees you. So every time everybody comes, my parents come, my grandmother comes, it's a whole ordeal. I That's a whole separate issue. Whenever we have like multi-generational or you have larger families, we've kind of already touched on it. Family suites, I think, are definitely the way to go. And we can go affordable, and if we need to we can go extravagant. If we need to we can go for the pool. If we need to, there's so many options with the family suites at resorts. My go-to for, I tend to get a lot of budget clients, which is totally fine, I'm happy to work with them, is always going to be All-Star Movies. All-Star Movies is the only all-star that has family suites. Their resort their family suites in particular have one bedroom. So other resorts might have multiple bedrooms. Some resorts have 2 and 3 bedrooms. Of course, when you started getting to like 2 and 3 bedrooms, you're at deluxe resorts or potentially DVC resorts, which getting in there is kind of tricky. But the bedrooms is a whole separate room. Typically, I know for a fact that in movies, I just sold one to a client. They have her and her fiance have their own bedroom with a door that closes and their own bathroom. So the two not so younger children have the main space, which has 2 pull-down beds, kind of Murphy style, and its own bathroom. And I told her, I said, look, I said, you and him get a bedroom, the other 2 boys get the front room, and you can close the door and y'all can be alone. Or if you're bringing the baby with you, the 2 of y'all and the baby. So, did I say movies? I think I
Yeah,
said
I think
movies. I
I
Music.
think
meant,
you may have
so
mentioned
okay.
music.
So movies is always my recommendation because that's my favorite of the All Stars because I'm not into sports. And the movies has more theming around the movies, which I enjoy seeing. So what I meant to say was music. All Star Music has the family suites. It is the only one of the All Stars that has a family suites. It's definitely where I would push you to go, but a lot of our deluxe do have them. If you're still looking for heavy themes, but a little bit bigger budget than an all-star, Art of Animation has great family suites. Like I said, a lot of the DVC resorts also have them. Sometimes they are reserved for just your DVC members, but a lot of times they're not. Even if you can't, a lot of most resorts have the adjoining rooms. Um, it all kind of depends on the budget. It also depends on who's paying. Sometimes grandma and grandpa are paying, and grandma and grandpa have really deep pockets. I had a family that cruised, and grandma and grandpa wanted a balcony and connecting rooms, and we got the whole thing. So there's really anywhere to go, but I definitely would push them towards a family suite. I think that really gets you everything you need. It has a kitchenette. So if you're like, we need to rest, or you like to have snacks, because the big families always want snacks. Everybody wants snacks in the rooms, and not everybody wants to, like, all right, let's gather up the like 6 of us and let's, you know, trot on down to the quick service and grab a little snack and then we'll all come back. But you also want to have, the bed or the bedroom that it's it's still kind of a proximity to parks, because as we kind of said, the older and the younger might not be able to make it all day. I know my grandmother cannot make it all day. That's why we throw her in the wheelchair and we push her around. But it's hot. It's Florida. It's hot. We need to be realistic when we have the kids and the older people that that proximity might also be of value to you. If we can't handle a whole day, why don't we take one of the closer resorts, or a resort that has, bus, boat, um, not bus. Buses are fine. Take a little bit longer. Let's take a resort that we can do the Skyliner, we can do a boat, we can do monorail, something quicker to kind of get us back. But definitely family suites is always going to be my recommendation for the multi-gen, just to kind of give us our own spaces.
One thing to keep in mind, so my mind kind of went a different direction. So I do highly recommend Art of Animation, and their family suites are really nice. But some of it depends on who's coming. So and the dynamic between that group. And so I've definitely been on multi-generational trips where maybe not everybody is buddy buddy and you don't all want to be in an enclosed space. And so in that case, maybe you are better off with 3, 4 different individual rooms all next to each other, and you can do the adjoined rooms if you so choose. But it's always nice So whenever we do multi-generational trips, and I love my in-laws, so this is not a crack at my in-laws, but it's always nice to again have kind of your own space. So at the end of the day, after you've sweated your butt off in the 100-degree heat in the middle of August, you can all return back to your individual rooms and kind of unwind and relax and debrief and decompress from the day and then start fresh the next day. And so if if maybe not everybody has that great dynamic, or maybe there's a extroverted introverted type of dynamic going on, as many as happens a lot in my family, maybe individual rooms is a better bet, and in which case, almost any resort will do the case depending on your budget and all the other things that we've talked about.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I'll add in there, like, consider who you're staying with and what their individual tendencies are with how they like to keep their room. I love my parents to death, but my dad really likes to keep things neat and tidy, which I completely understand. I also have a toddler, so neat and tidy is not how we typically roll. So to all be in a family suite would be a little tight for us. So I completely agree. Sometimes, like, you just need to think about who you're with and how close you really want to be, and maybe having a little bit of separation there is not a bad thing.
Well,
You
I
know,
guess my
as I'm,
family's
oh,
just
sorry.
close to each other.
Well, and again, there is the family that wants to all stay together, and maybe that's what the budget allows also. And then there's others that, because the hours awake is another dynamic to keep in mind. Like, I'm a night owl, but not everybody is, and so I don't want to be worried about tipping toeing around other family members and that sort of thing. So it's not always about the dynamic. It, like you said, just personal preference.
Which definitely gets into but it kind of gets into the bedrooms as well, because the suites that have 2 and 3 bedrooms, you have a living area and separate bedrooms.
Yes.
I know, like, for example, I've had family that has stayed at Old Key West, which is the original DVC resort. Again, DVC resorts are kind of a different beast when trying to stay at them, but they stayed. It was my grandmother and my cousin flew down to come see, and they wanted a 2 bedroom, and they had a 2 bedroom. And I went inside and I was like, this is like a condo. It's like a little apartment. And a lot of these family suites, some of the family suites have those options. Now, yeah, if you have a 1 bedroom and you have like 6 people, it can be a little tight. But if the budget allows, definitely go for more bedrooms if you can.
Actually,
So
when that was first mentioned, the first thing that came to my mind was the treehouse villas at Saratoga.
I forgot about
yeah,
those.
Those are super cool. I would love to stay in one day. They are 3 bedroom. They are literally built like up kind of in the trees. I think they're what, octagonal? Did I even say that? Shape,
Octagonal.
they're the shape of an octagon of a stop sign. Um, but they you can actually see them on the if you're on the boat coming from Riverside or French Quarter. They are also on the golf course, so if
Mhm.
anybody in your party likes to golf, wants to take a day to go golfing. But yeah, they're super cool. They're a 3 bedroom if you can swing it, and like I said, sometimes villas are a little tricky, but I think totally worth it if you can get into one of those.
You know,
yeah.
as we're talking about this, I just was thinking, I was trying to think of like one resort that had a lot of options for each generation within one, just that one resort. And I was thinking about the Contemporary because they do have a DVC tower that has the deluxe studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom villas in it. Then they also have the main tower, like the OG Contemporary building. And then there's a third one that's, I think it's only 3 stories, the Garden Wing. And so I know the Garden Wing, like there's a lot of room there for budget needs, like a garden be like a standard view in the garden wing on the ground floor is going to be a lot less than a 1 or 2 bedroom, DVC unit, but everybody's still kind of on the same property. The same thing with dining. They have Chef Mickey's, which is great for the little kids with the character dining. And then you can go up to California Grill, which is one of the more elevated dining experiences on property at Disney. And it's a huge resort. They have multiple pools, there's multiple gift shops. So I just feel like maybe that could be a good option for families to look at if everybody wanted to stay in one place, but each they can have a lot of experiences together, but then they can each kind of almost have their own resort experience in choosing what to do while they're there. So one good option.
Very nice. Choose your own adventure resort
Yeah.
experience. I love that. So the last one that I want to focus on is for those that are staying. So Corey had mentioned this earlier. You have 7 days, 4 parks. What do? Squeeze in that resort day in the middle. So for those guests that plan to spend an extra amount of time at the resort, they want a resort day, what do we recommend? So I'm going to steal this one to start with. And the one that immediately popped into my mind was, we've mentioned it a lot, Yacht Club and Beach Club. Their pool, I could spend more than a day at. I stayed at Yacht Club the last time I was there. Stormalong Bay is so cool. It has a salt bottom pool. There's a pirate ship water slide. There's this little, I don't even know what you'd call it, like a whirlpool hurricane type thing where you literally you try to float and the water just loops you around in a circle, which is different than the lazy river. So then there's also the lazy river. Like, I could go on and on about Stormalong Bay. It's such a cool resort. And then Beach Club also has Cape May Cafe character dining in the morning. And so whether you stay at either resort, you can walk over there and enjoy some character dining, and take an extra. Again, if you're taking this resort day, you're not in a rush to get anywhere. You can have a nice, relaxing breakfast. It's such a cool experience. So that's the one that immediately popped into my mind. The second one that I thought of too, we also mentioned it a couple times, is Animal Kingdom Lodge. So especially a Savannah View room so if you've never stayed in a Savannah View room, it's literally overlooking a savanna with giraffes and wildebeest and different African animals. And like, I had one of those rooms and I literally, like, my family, it was a multi-gen trip and we stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge and they were prying me away to go to the parks. And I'm like, no, there's a giraffe literally eating in my, like, outside my room. Like, why am I going to the parks right now? And so those are there are three resorts that just popped into my mind immediately of like, if I have a day to just hang out at the resort, that's where I'm staying. I don't know what anyone else's thoughts are.
You
So when
just said the ones that all of us are thinking of. So
Mic drop.
Animal Kingdom Lodge is definitely it's like a destination resort. There's no need to go anywhere else. You go for the resort. Yeah.
And actually, if you can't, so the Savannah View room is more expensive. I think it's possibly the most expensive room on property if you're not doing concierge or Grand Floridian. Like, I know it's more than Yacht Club and Beach Club as well. Some of the other deluxes. If you can't spring for the Savannah View room, budget just doesn't allow it. They have like an area that you can go and overlook the savannah that isn't a part of your room. So if you're staying at any of the rooms at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you can go to this little terrace, I guess you could call it, and watch the animals there too. And they have wonderful rocking chairs and even a campfire. And so I remember just my wife and I sitting out by the campfire, just talking to some of the other guests and enjoying our night. And so it's such a cool resort.
Yeah, I'll just throw out there that even if you're staying somewhere else, heading out to the Animal Kingdom Lodge is a really great activity for a resort day. That's something my husband and I love to do. Like they do a tour of some of the restaurants, which I think is really cool. You can go out to that viewing area to see some of the animals. And then my favorite restaurant on property, very close with another one, but my favorite is Sanaa, with the bread service. It's fantastic, just saying. So that's a really fun activity, even if you're not staying there. I was also going to throw in, if maybe some of these deluxes aren't necessarily in the budget, thinking about Coronado Springs has some really fun activities. They have like a painting experience you can pay for. It's not very expensive. There's a mosaic experience. They have a nice pool, not quite as cool as the Yacht and Beach, but it's still like a nice pool. And I was also thinking about Port Orleans resorts, because they have a pool, they have a play area, I think they're doing a little construction on the splash pad right now, but that's working. And then from there, you can very easily go out to Disney Springs for part of your resort day to go do some shopping, hang out. There's going to be a new drone show coming out this summer, so like go over there, watch the drone show as part of the evening. So there's some other options out there if you're not ready to go deluxe.
Okay,
Plus, you can get beignets.
no, we have to back up for a second and go back to the French Quarter. Can I just
The
say,
beignets.
Mickey beignets, why were those not mentioned?
Yes.
And I'll
Beignets
pop
are
there.
worth the stay alone.
They have gluten-free beignets there as well. So if you have an allergy to gluten, that is the one place on property right now where you can get the gluten-free ones. They're fantastic. Also, shout out just to say, Yeehaw Bob Jackson. If you do not go see his show when you stay there, you are missing out. He is absolutely a spectacular entertainer, and you will have the best time. But make sure that you are not a super introvert, because then it will be like the most awful time you've ever had. But it's really, really fun as long as you're okay with some audience interaction.
Make sure you get there early too. It will be standing room only. It takes place. I can't remember what it's called, but it's their little
Oh, the
bar
River Roost Lounge.
area. What is it?
The River Roost Lounge? Yeah, I think.
That sounds right. Oh yeah. There's only maybe 10, 12 tables, and so it'll definitely be standing room only, and it's like an hour and a half show. It's incredible. The energy he has, I don't even know how. Like it shows at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Like, so how he has that much energy by then? He clearly didn't go to the parks that day.
And doesn't have young kids anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the things that you made me think of, Brandy, is resort hopping. So if you have a resort day, you don't have to stay at your resort. Now, if you do not have a car, you have to do what I like to call a layover. So you'd have to take a bus to Disney Springs or one of the parks and then branch over to another resort. But especially if you rented a car or you drove down, go and look at some of the resorts. Like Wilderness Lodge is such a cool resort. It's built kind of like a log cabin. Go to the Grand Floridian and take in that elegance and that Mary Poppins theming. Like, it's the different pools. Every resort has a different themed pool. Some are better than others, and so it is just a cool way to. I love resort hopping. It would be, you could eat breakfast at one resort, lunch at a different resort, dinner at a different resort, take in 3 different resorts, and just have a spectacular day where you're not running from attraction to attraction at a park. So resort
But keep
hopping is
in
a cool
mind,
way to
just
do it.
because you can resort hop does not mean you get to pool hop.
Yes.
That's a big no-no. And I don't even think the DVC resorts allow it right now. I think that stopped after COVID.
Correct. Yeah, they
yeah.
don't allow it. Wah.
Not pool hop, but you can look at the pools.
You can look at the pools from afar, but you cannot pool hop anymore.
So
Sure.
some
And
of kind of going.
Oh, I was just going to say another quick note on resort hopping. Just be mindful, if you are using your own car, not all of the resorts will allow you to park there depending on the time of year and how full the parking lot is. So you may want to come up with an alternative plan, because sometimes they don't allow you to park at all of the resorts all the time.
That's a great point, Brandy, and shared on the pools. Corey, you were going to say something?
So it's kind of we'll probably have a special episode on this eventually, but it's definitely depending on the time of year that you go, if you're doing your resort day and you want to resort hop, if you're going during Christmas, everybody always loves to go see the gingerbread sculptures. All 3 resorts on the monorail resort path have them, as well as the boardwalk, and missing one more.
Beach and Yacht will have them too.
Yes, they have one too. So all the boardwalk resorts and then the monorail resorts all have gingerbread to go look at. It's just really cool to see the sculptures that are built by hand. I also have a friend that works and does that too. It's just a really fun thing to do on your resort day. Something nice to see. If you happen to enjoy camping, we have not really touched on the campgrounds. If you like to go camping and you have the ability and you want to go camping, or you want to stay at the cabins and you go during holidays, the holidays I'm speaking of is Halloween and Christmas. There are families, there are guests that come, and that is their whole stay. And they will stay for legit like a month. and they decorate all out. They will make those, they're kind of almost like a wing or like a street of the campgrounds. If it's Halloween, they'll do a haunted house for like the whole street. They do trick or treating. If it's Christmas, they decorate their golf cart. I mean, I swear people must bring a whole trailer just of decorations to do it. It is so much fun. Also going with the campgrounds, if your dinner shows are also a fun way to do on your resort day because it does take up a decent chunk of time. It's good to do dinner shows. So I always think of Hoop De Doo. Hoop De Doo is so much fun. They just brought it back with a new show. I cannot wait to go see it, but it's so much fun. And the ribs and the fried chicken, all the sides, everything was so good. And the show is hilarious and such an entertainment. It's definitely fun to go. You do have to get there with your reservations. It fills up pretty quickly, especially the earlier reservations. But it's dinner shows are definitely a good thing to do on your resort days as well.
Hoop-de-doo is so much fun. And then Fort Wilderness also does s'mores every night. So over by the beach there, you can roast some s'mores. And
Actually, you can do s'mores at pretty much all the resorts now. You have to buy the kit to do it, but it comes with a two Mickey shaped graham crackers with dipped chocolate, and then your marshmallow. And I can't remember if we just did it. I just did it a few weeks ago, and I can't remember how much it is, but yeah, you can roast marshmallows or you can get the s'mores kit, and it was really good.
Brandy had mentioned it earlier, but I think it's worth repeating that, yeah, deluxe resorts, if you're going to try to resort hop to a deluxe resort, park at the park closest to it and walk or take the, monorail or whatever mode of transport, or make sure you have a dining reservation. They are pretty strict about parking at the deluxe resorts, but honestly, the resorts have some of the best food, and so it is worth grabbing some of those dining reservations and enjoying the food, which will be a whole other episode of eating at Disney World because that really could go endless. So, all right, well, hopefully all of that was helpful for you, and if you are in fact planning your next Disney World vacation and you want to experience the concierge level experience that only us can offer, all five of us are travel advisors. Go to the travelgenieshow.com to start planning your next dream vacation. With that, I want to move into some of the news that's been happening. So Disney destinations are constantly evolving, constantly changing. And so there's been a lot of exciting news lately. One of those is going to be, they just announced the dates for Food and Wine. Brandy, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. So the first thing is that the dates are not quite what we expected them to be. Historically, Food and Wine started sometime in early July. And so this year it is starting on August 29th. So we feel like we may have lost over a month. And it's going to go through November 23rd. So something to just keep in mind if you have a trip planned and you thought you were going to Food and Wine Festival, but it is in that July, August timeframe, double check that date. And maybe you might want to shift it to be able to accommodate that.
One of the great things about booking with one of us is we have already discussed that we're going to be reaching out to all of our clients in that missed time frame just to make sure that Food and Wine was not the reason they were headed down to Disney World, because we want to make sure that if that is the reason, that we get your vacation moved. So again, just another reason to book with us. Food and Wine is such an awesome event. I love to experience it every year. The food is just, ooh, next
It's
level.
yummiest time of year.
Yes. And be
And
prepared to eat
good.
on a trash can. That's the rite of passage.
Yeah.
So there is definitely not enough chairs and tables and spaces to eat. And so it really is a rite of passage to eat on a trash can. That might sound gross, but it's actually a good time, and you get to overlook the lagoon there and enjoy all the people watching and the views of World Showcase, and it's just a great time. Love
Okay,
it.
so just real quick, have y'all seen the adorable trash can tablecloths?
It's
So,
become
I
a
don't
yeah.
think I have.
Yes.
yeah,
What?
so
Yeah.
if you haven't, so on Etsy, there's a number of people who are doing them, but it's this beautiful little tablecloth intended and designed for the Walt Disney World trash cans, and they make them with like little pockets so you can put your like reusable like fork and spoon and things, and it's super adorable, and like, so just throwing that out there.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I want maybe they'll make an ornament with like a little person eating on a Epcot trash can, a World Showcase trash can.
You can get a
Hallmark, if you're
trash, you can get
listening,
a
or
trash can
Disney,
ornament. They have a trash can ornament.
there you go.
Yeah.
So I
Gotta
can
say,
make
I
my
saw
own.
shakers one time too, but yeah.
That's awesome. Love food and wine. Yeah. Our next story is going to be Victoria and Albert's received quite the notice this week or recently. So, Michelin star, if you're not familiar, is really the pinnacle of awards for restaurants. So, Disney has never received a Michelin star rated restaurant before, but they were awarded recently. Victoria and Albert's received the Michelin star award, marking again the first time that Disney has received this incredible accomplishment. And then, if that's not enough, sommelier Israel Perez also received the 2024 Florida Service Award. A sommelier helps you pick out the finest wines, the wine that's going to pair best with your meal. And so it's very cool that, you know, Israel Perez has received this award and notice for his incredible abilities. And then Victoria and Albert's, as if it's not, again, not just received a Michelin star, but it's the first and only restaurant owned and operated by a U.S. theme park destination to hold a Michelin star. So, not a Six Flags, not a Universal. Disney is going to own that as the first and only restaurant owned and operated by a theme park destination to have that award. So, Victoria and Albert's, as we mentioned earlier, it's an experience in its own right, now a Michelin star. And so, it'll be even harder to get those coveted reservations, but make sure you check it out. I don't know, Corey, do you have anything to add on the Victoria and Albert's experience?
I mean, I've never dined at a Michelin star restaurant. I don't have that kind of money. I
Well,
did
now
do a
you
little
have.
research on, I have now. I did do a little research. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, and some of it is just, Disney didn't want it, or people, it's kind of the whole, I think it sets that precedence that it's a theme park, company that has it. But as I said before, I remember when we went, mind you, this is a little bit of time ago. It was, I mean, it was excellent. I had looked it up, I think, TripAdvisor, which take that with a grain of salt. It was the number one like experience in Orlando, and I think the number two experience in the whole state of Florida. And I was like, we have to do this. And reservations are very hard to come by. They're not a normal booking. Not anymore, really. Usually, I think you have to call, and there's a whole thing. You have to verify things, and it's a whole process. But we happened to book it like 4 months out. And my wife's like, "How are we had just moved in together? How are we going to afford this?" And I was like, "We're going to do this." And it was by far, it was worth the money. I'm so happy we went, and I would give anything to go again. Like it is the experience to have if you can do it.
Very good. So book that Victoria and Albert's reservation on your next vacation. All right. Our last news article of the day: the Smellephants on parade. Ali, do you want to talk about what this fun sounding thing is?
I think I want to talk about it. I don't know. After that Israel Perez and the Michelin star and everything, poor
I think
elephants
Smellephants
sound a
fits
little
right
sad,
there.
but
This will be a Michelin star experience
right?
itself.
It's a Michelin star awarded olfactory experience instead of a culinary experience. So in at Magic Kingdom in Storybook Circus area, I think, which is in Fantasyland, they are setting up these elephant statues. And this is so Disney has teamed up with the company Scentsy, which they make scented. Well, the only thing I own are the little
Wax
plugins that.
warmers.
What's that?
That's one of my really good friends who's also a former cast member. I call her our Scentsy dealer. She
Oh,
she
okay.
sells she sells Scentsy. She is a person. It's a
They're
multi-level
like
marketing
oil, like
company.
essential oils, right?
It's a wax warmer, but
Okay.
on a very light scale. They do so much more now. They have diffusers. They have all kinds of things. We have several of their products around the house. I can reach one if I reach far enough. They're all over the house. They've had a partnership with Disney for several years, but it's just been in collaboration with the new products that they put out. So this is definitely a big deal for them to be able to be in the parks now.
To showcase these particular scents.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes more sense. Ha ha ha. Oh boy, it's getting late. So they have, I think they've put up one that I know of, elephant statue, and when you get there, I think there's going to be 8 altogether, put all around the area, and you walk up and get a sticker sheet, and then you find there's a little map on there, and you sort of scout out all these different elephants, and then each one has a different scent. So I think it's a little unclear if the scents are coming from little contraptions in the shrubbery or if they're coming out of the elephant somehow. I don't know. But you're supposed to be able to stand there and smell the scent, and they're all themed to circus smells. So there's like, I don't know, a funnel cake, a churro, popcorn. I think the popcorn one is the first one that's out. So it's a pretty cute idea, I think, for mix it up a little bit, have kids go on a little scents scavenger hunt to take up, I don't know how long that would take, maybe a half hour to do. So something kind of fun to do with your kids or adults, maybe people on their honeymoon who love each other want to do the elephant scavenger hunt together. You never know. But pretty cute idea. So something new.
I think it sounds really cool. I want to check it out the next time I'm there. I think it sounds, smells really good.
It's like, I love all the scavenger hunts they do all the time. And I was like, we're big Scentsy fans. So I'll definitely be doing it next time we go.
Perfect.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Follow us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast if you enjoyed this episode. And join us next week for another fantastic show filled with Disney tips, tricks. And make sure you grab those pineapple whips beforehand.